Chapter 1, Episode 6. Imagine Artemis, and for this it is necessary to go back 500 years. You live in a society where the priest class has absolute power and they dedicate a reality based on a collection of fables they call the Holy Book. In this society, you are to believe the Hallowed One created the earth a few thousand years ago and it is flat. It is the centre of the universe, and the Hallowed One made you a sinner so he could torture you forever in hell unless you agree to his undisputable terms. If you were a good servant, you were promised an eternity of singing praises to the Hallowed One. One evening, you are lying on a hill watching over the sheep, and you notice the moon come up over the horizon and shine its light down on the sheep, and you watch in a half sleep how the shadows change on the sleeping sheep and close your eyes. Hours later you wake and are lying looking straight up at the moon. You can almost see it moving. And the stars have moved as well. That big white cloud of millions of stars changes its pattern the night through. Her grandfather would then ask her, and Artemis would tell him what was known about the solar system, the galaxy, and the universe. How far away are the stars? It's hard to say, but further than the moon. How fast do they move? The stars are not racing around the world is spinning. Artemis smiled, knowing that she had quite a bit figured about how the world worked. She quickly looked around to see if anyone was listening. Nellie was looking at her, but didn't seem to be paying attention. Artemis knew it should have been the end of holy books when Copernicus
is the most famous scientist on the planet.
What is it, Buff?
Copernicus
and others. Galileo Newton pointed out that the sun was the centre of the solar system and that it was but one among hundreds of billions of stars. And not only hundreds of billions of stars in the Milky Way galaxy, hundreds of billions of galaxies with hundreds of billions of stars. She couldn't talk to her grandmother about such things. With Grandpa he had told her all about the universe and many of the things in it. He had been a great thinker and a great teacher. Artemis smiled at her grandmother as she finally sat down on the swinging sofa on the veranda. "Can you read me a Bible story, my dear?" "Love to, Nanny." Grandma smiled and watched Artemis, such a darling girl. She couldn't remember where the girl had come from. She also couldn't remember when the young lady started being with her in her house. She was a good girl. Grandma never forgot that, and she could read so well. Abraham thought his father was an arsehole.
Abraham.
Abram.
Read what's there.
Abram thought his father was an arsehole. He paid homage to many gods or images of gods, but beat his wife, Abraham's mother, until she was found dead by the waterhole with the goats. Abram's father liked his third wife better. She was much younger and still had the beauty of youth. She maintained some of that beauty after she had a child. Unfortunately for the third wife, she made a baby girl. They needed more men. They named the child Sarai. Abraham loved Sarai. She was a beautiful child. She had raven hair, yet brilliant green eyes. She could charm a snake with her smile. Abraham was obsessed with his half-sister and promised her he would marry her. She didn't know what that meant, so she just smiled. Abraham liked it when she smiled. He held her and touched her and kissed her. When she was a little older, she understood what her brother meant by marriage. Pain. Artemis looked up to see if Grandma was paying attention. She wasn't, just following the sounds of Artemis' voice. "Go on, dear. Abraham came in from herding the goats around one day and found Sarah sitting on her father's lap. This wasn't so unusual. Girls were often fondled by their fathers and uncles. It was a normal thing. Abram didn't like how his father touched Sarah. Sarah was his girl, and no one wants to share their girl with their dad. Abram's dad didn't stop touching Sarah when Abram stood to watch him. Stop touching her. She's my girl. You think you are Lord of all. I am Lord of this house. You are not Lord over me or Sarah, but I am, my boy. If you do not want to watch me with your sister, go back to the goats. Abram took a god from the mantle and threw it on the floor. The phallus and the right arm broke off. You defile my god of promiscuity. Abram's father pushed Sarah to the floor. A god hit him in the head. It was a fairly heavy wooden god and smarted. Abram, when I get hold of you. Another god hit him on the chest. Actually half a god. Abram had broken it at the waist. It was a virgin maiden god that blessed the grass that the goats ate so that the milk would be plentiful. She wasn't a good god. All of last year, 4 of the goats were practically dry and had to be slaughtered and stewed. While Abram's father lamented over the goddess, Abram continued his rampage, smashing every god in the house. All your gods are pathetic. You have no reverence for the sacred. I have the one Almighty God. He is ruler of all the heavens and the earth. He is not a carved piece of rock or wood. He is ruler of all. Where is your God? Everywhere. He is the beginning of all and the end of all. Oh, fuck off, Abram. You just can't make up new rules. We have always carved our own gods. I can too. Not in my house, you won't. No, if that's what you want, old man, I am taking Sarah, 6 goats, and Hagar. You can have 4 goats and Hagar. And Sarah? No, she's my daughter. She's my wife and she belongs with me. Fine. She's no good for anything, take her. Take 3 she-goats and a billy goat. Take dates and bread for the journey. Sarah can keep her lazy slave. Now get the hell out of my face and don't come back. And say goodbye to your camel. She stays. I need a camel. Take Garth. He's 1,000 years old. He's a fine camel. Garth was a fine camel, strong and steady. So it was that under a little duress, Abram with Sarah, her personal slave, 4 goats and a few things, including a tent, did set off from his father's house in Harim to cross a few fields and sand dunes to get to a new land, a land flowing with milk and honey, almost dust and blistering sun. Abram didn't care. It was a place to start.